Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Bucks lose it 125-112 tonight in Portland, Oregon. Dame going back home, going back to Portland, not the homecoming he was looking for. Come on in the room. Doc is our doctor. Right side of the He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live. Creeps across the groove truck. I was there.
Chris King.
Justin.
Hey, Chris King back in the building, doing what we do tonight. Man, 125-112, back-to-back Bucks after dark edition. Oh my God, it's almost 1 a.m. on the East Coast. Let's see how fast we can get through this one. Of course, as always, it will be guided by you, the listeners, by you, the viewers. We know you're going to get in the room and talk to us. You guys stay up late. You guys are true Bucks fans. You guys are in it to win it. And the Bucks don't show up tonight. They don't get the dub. They give up 125 to the Portland Trail Blazers and are now 1-2 in the West Coast trip. Get at me in the chat on YouTube. We'll talk to you there. And get at me on the Twitter at TCIIESQ. And we'll read your comments and talk about them as well. But first, let's get into it. Game recap tonight, 125-112. The Portland Trail Blazers take it to the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's start on the Milwaukee side of things. Giannis, who for whatever reason, I saw people blaming this guy. You know what I saw people blaming? A guy that put up 39, 12, and 5 on 70% shooting. And people said, that's the guy. This is, I don't understand. This is almost like when people, you just have to find a reason to get upset, to be mad at somebody. This is like how they felt with this must be how Jesus felt when they were like, y'all get mad at me, y'all mad at me, y'all talk about me, all this stuff going on out here, and y'all gonna get at me. Come on, dog. That's crazy. 70% shooting. We got people. He was ball hogging out there. And the crazy thing is he didn't start the fourth quarter, and that was our worst scoring quarter of the game. Fourth quarter. When Giannis wasn't out there. Worst scoring quarter of the game. When Giannis doesn't start the second quarter, 25 points. Giannis doesn't start the fourth quarter, 23 points. If the least minutes played in those two quarters, worst quarters of the game. But it was Mr. Ball Hog's fault. Right. Get out of here. You guys are insane. You guys are insane, especially because I'm talking about the next guy. I won't have to go through his stats too long. 15 minutes, donut, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 0 for 2, 0 for 1 from 3, -6 for the night, 3 fouls. He got 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes of the game. He playing hip check defense. I'm sorry, but again, I don't want to talk about Khris like this, and we'll talk about him a little bit later in the show. I don't want to talk about him like this, but if you're going to talk about the guy that putting up 40, 39, 12, and 5 on 70% shooting and tell me that they got a ball hog, we got a problem, that's why you lost the game. His free throws, man. His free throws. He's 5 for 10 from the line. 5 free throws still wouldn't have won the game. I wish somebody else could shoot 70% from the field. That's what I wish. I wish if he could only shoot 70% from the line, somebody else shoot 70% from the field. How about that? How about we do that? Don't tell me about no free throws. Don't tell me about no ball hog. Tell these other guys to score the damn ball. Torian Prince, sorry ass, 4 points. Get your ass out of here. Brooke Lopez, 11 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. The hell you do? You know how they working on y'all's free throws? They doing the broom. They throwing a stick up so he shoots some arc on his free throws. That's Brooke Lopez tonight. Might as well just you should have had an assistant coach out there with just a stick. That's all he did.
Flat.
That's all he did. 1 block tonight. Andre Jackson Jr., good effort from him. I thought he was really good tonight. I thought he was effective. I thought he damn near was very close to triple-double. 9, 7, and 5 from him, 1 steal. He was aggressive all over the floor. I thought he cut much better than I've seen him cut in a long time. Dame, I'm not going to get on him. It's 20 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 7 to 17 from the field. I mean, again, he could have been more aggressive. I think, again, when he gets doubled, when he gets trapped, when he gets blitzed, you look at him crazy. They kind of take him out of the game. Yes, Dame Lillard could have been better, but he wasn't he wasn't terrible. He wasn't terrible. Again, and I'll say this, your big two. Your duo has 59 points tonight. That should win you the game. Don't tell me about anybody else. Your duo had 59 tonight. Where's Khris Middleton? 15 points for Khris Middleton wins the game. I'll tell you that. Gary Trent Jr., 11 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Ryan Rollins, 9 points. I thought he was really good. Chris talked about this before we got on air. Ryan Rollins, did not, I don't know how many minutes he played in the second half, but it felt like he could have got some more in there. Portland side of things, Jeremy Grant went out with an ankle roll and was more impactful than Khris Middleton. Everybody was sticking their nose up at Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant, I never trade for Jeremy. You can't trade Khris Middleton for Jeremy Grant. What about the chemistry? Man had 8 points and 1 assist. Jeremy Grant was a non-factor, still more impactful than Khris Middleton. Clip that up, Chris. Clip that up. Because it's the truth. That's the truth. I don't mean to talk about him. I'm presenting you with the facts. Jeremy Grant did not have a good game tonight. He got hurt tonight, rolled his ankle, and was more impactful than whatever the hell Khris Middleton called himself doing tonight. That's all I'm saying. Toumani Camara could have had him 8 points, 4 assists. He was big to a lot of the little things. DeAndre Ayton, I mean, what's the song? Dun, dun, dun. Shit it on him. 21 and 14, DeAndre Ayton out there balling on Brook Lopez. And then Advia, I mean, he was grifting his ass off with 30 points, 9 boards, 2 assists. He did hit some shots, hit a lot of shots, 10 of 18 from the field. You got to give it to him when he's playing like that. I thought, again, he grifted a lot, but, is what it is. Scored the basketball. Good job from him. He had the game of his life. I don't know what his averages are, but, hey, he won. This was the Super Bowl's coming up. This is their Super Bowl. Simon's 25 and 7. Scoot Henderson with 10 points. Shady Sharp with 17. Dominic Kling was trash. 4 points for him, non-factor. Again, I'll be brief and let you guys kind of have it. I'll say this tonight. The other thing I'll say, because I'll say this. I'm not upset about the loss. Bucks have won 9 of the last 11. I'm really not upset about the loss. These games happen. You're on the road. You're on a back-to-back. Portland did have some hot shooting. I thought some of the shooting in third was a little fluky. Especially from Avia, and then Simons got on the heater. So they had some timely buckets. I'll give them some of that. That's cool. My issue, I will have issues with individual performances. The loss as a whole doesn't matter to me, but some individual performances I did have a problem with. And we could talk about those. But to me, the issue, my main issue was with Bucks fans who were crying about Giannis, and they kept talking. I don't know how you watch the game. Maybe I watch it differently. But I'm not upset at the offense. Putting up 112 is good enough to. I mean, again, even if you won't always win with 112, but you shouldn't lose by double digits with 112. 112 should be good enough to. This should have been a nip and tuck ball. Even with Portland hitting some shots, should have been a nip and tuck ball game, and it wasn't. So So I'm more concerned with the defense. That's what I'm concerned with. Straight line drives to the basket. Fouled a little too much in the first half. Especially. And then, we gave up. I don't know what did Portland shoot from 3? Let me see. They were 12 for 28. So, again, it wasn't bad, but they shot 42% from 3. Simons went 4 of 8. Ivy went 3 of 7. They did get what they do from the line, 23 of 28 from the line. So they had 10 more made free throws than the Bucks. They got there a little more. I thought the Bucks fouled some. I know people are going to be upset with the officiating. I thought it was odd too, but that's not why the Bucks lost. I agree with you. The fouls were interesting. But again, Khris Middleton, you got to move your feet. You can't play defense all hips. Who the hell think he's Shakira? You can't play defense with all hips. You got to sit down and guard. And these guys didn't do that tonight. That's what I saw a little bit of. Chris, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the fouls too, like these are Dame's proteges, right? Like these are guys that learned under Dame and somehow they get the calls. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think the biggest reason why the Bucks lost this game is like, okay, you did a great job in the first half of hanging with them, right? Like you were running up and down the floor, hanging with them, but that's just not a pace of the game that is sustainable for this Bucks team, right? We look at the second half, people are talking about, oh, well, yeah, Giannis is ball hogging. Well, that's because everybody is shooting mid-range jumpers early on in the shot clock. Like when in the analytics era have those ever been great shots? And they were not, and you missed them. And then what happens? Now you got to go play defense in transition, and we're not a very good transition defense. And so that kind of caught up to us. I felt like we gave in to their style of play more so than we were able to, try to slow them down a little bit. So that hurt us, just kind of like how it was last year with the Pacers, if they were able to get out and run. So we just don't have the athletes for that. Especially not on a back-to-back. And I think that really showed through tonight. I thought Ryan Rollins was good. Hey, Pat Connaughton, first half, hey, He's increasing that trade value to get so we can get under that second apron. No, but yeah, I just thought things were a little weird tonight. Not giving Ryan Rollins the minutes. I felt him and Ajax really matched that kind of intensity that a young team like Portland has. And then to just not really go to Ryan in the second half was interesting to me, especially after he had it going in the first half, 4 or 5, kind of a bounce back game from him. Was very interesting. But yeah, I mean, some people in the chat talked about how they just dominated the boards, and yeah, that was the case. It felt like, and then they got out in transition, were able to build a lead. So yeah, I mean, this is a tough one to take, especially when you get no points from Khris. And guys, I was looking at the comments from the last couple games, and they're talking about, oh, well, this is why it hurts doing a post-game show after every game, because now look what Khris did versus the Utah Jazz. Nobody cares if he's going to go do that and then score 0 points the next game, right? Like, there has to be some consistency with the guy. It's not that we want his head. It's not that, there's bad blood with us and Khris. It's just what we see from day to day. And if there's too much bad that outweighs the good, we're going to call it out.
So before I read what Doc says, I just wanted to read y'all what TNT said. I don't know if you guys saw this on the post game, but the header says TNT time's up, Dame. So we got a lot of focus on Khris Middleton tonight, and I think it's just the wrong focus. But let me talk about what Doc's talking about first, because, hey, man, boy scored 14 points in the first 17 minutes of this basketball game. Then he was nowhere to be found in the second half, man. You can't do that if you're a top 75 or 75 player, if you're the second best player on this team. And we've talked about it all year. This team, Dame is the most important player on this team, and he ain't show up in that second half. I saw people on Twitter talking about he sold it. That's one of y'all young boy words, Chris King. I might agree with that stuff, though. Hey, let me talk about what Doc said, though, man. He said the Portland Trail Blazers completely beat us off the dribble. The Bucks never established defense. I thought everybody on that roster was terrible defensively, including Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. Worst defensive effort I've seen from that guy. He didn't like the offense. He felt the ball movement was pretty stagnant. The TP flagrant foul was out of frustration. I didn't even think it was a damn flagrant foul, to be honest with you. This is the dumbest comment that I heard Doc Rivers make, man. I like Doc Rivers, big Doc fan. He said he thought the referees were good tonight. What the hell game were you watching?
Was that
Scott
sarcastic?
Foster should be on. He said they were good.
Or
no, he said Scott Foster and them were good. He said that they let you be physical from the start. They let you be physical. They let you foul, maul.
how?
I mean, kill Giannis down low and kill him every way possible. And then you believe on the, what's the boy name, Chris King? I say it wrong every time.
Avdia.
Yeah. Avia, Vita, him too, all them boys in between. That boy wouldn't even make the roster on his damn country of Israel. Little bum grifting behind. Sorry, I'm pissed. Portland got all the calls because they were the aggressors, he said. He said we lost this game because we didn't have enough bigs. I completely agree about that. And then the last thing he said, there's a silver lining, is that they got to work their small lineups, which I thought were absolutely trash tonight. Look, man, before the garbage time went away and we put in the reserve guys, we were 11 for 34 from the threes. I think that's a big reason why we lost it. I already talked about Dame. I think what is Scott Foster tonight, right? That whole crew, the light-skinned dude with the curly hair with the Al B. Sure stuff in it, the old Bobby Brown new edition texturizer and stuff, he's terrible. The other brother, the bald head brother, he's terrible. He sweats more than Middleton. Giannis' offense was absolutely amazing tonight. I don't know. I know you, Trey, you said people were at you about his offense was absolutely amazing. He took the game over when Dame was nowhere to be found, when you could say Middleton, you could say whoever. I feel like the only dudes that showed up to hoop tonight were Giannis and Ajax. Blazers bench had 33 points, man. Rob Will didn't even play tonight. Was he hurt?
I'm not sure.
And then I think someone mentioned it in the chat as well, but they were they out-rebounded us 52-36. So I really wish, because Giannis didn't have enough fake rebounds tonight, I wish Bobby could have came in and got 15, because Giannis got a hell of a lot of fake rebounds tonight, and he was watching them boys jump all over him and rebound the ball too. And he's better than. And the reason why I say that, because he's the best rebounder on this team.
Yeah, I think that from a rebounding perspective, and this is one of the things that you have to think about when you're Doc Rivers. And I think if this is, I'll say this, I think if this is a playoff game, I do think you see a better effort on the boards from Gian. I think I've seen like Giannis goes 100. Giannis is one of the guys that always goes 100%, and it's hard for him not to. And because I think you see like a guy like LeBron, especially when in his prime and later years as well, pick spots, right? Where do I want to, and he could really control. He really had his thumb on the game where I can let this go however long I want, and then I'm gonna pick a spot. And okay, we need a big 3 minutes in the third quarter here. It's time. We're down 8. Let me go ahead and run it back, get this thing tied up real quick. Let's do that. Giannis doesn't really have that in his game because his game is really predicated mainly off athleticism. You're starting to see him pick his spot some more with the jump shot. And I think that is his way of picking a spot where it's like, okay, I don't have to ram downhill as much all the time. I can take a jump shot. And the other spot that the other spot that I think where he picks spots is rebounding. And it's like, this is my time to take a break. This is my opportunity to give that. And because that's all LeBron is doing when he does it, it's, I have to pace myself because I can't go 40 minutes full out. Not a lot of guys are able to do that or can do that at all. So Giannis is one of the guys that has had to do that. And I really do believe that's a spot where he goes, I can take a break. I don't have to grab every rebound. I'm not soaring through everybody. Get it? Because you're right. If he chose to do that, if Giannis wanted to average 30 rebounds, he'd average 25 rebounds a night if he really put his mind to it. So I think that's just one thing that he does, right or wrong. And sometimes I do think he should pick his spots a little better. Hey, we really need to get a board. And I think you're right. Some guys do get over him, and he doesn't always put a body on people to box him out and all that kind of stuff. But that was definitely a problem, and shows you some of the deficiencies that happen when you have when you have a small lineup like that. And the other reason that gets kind of not talked about as much for less rebounding is zone. When you run a 2-3 zone, you are not in position to you don't have a body on a body at all times. It is much harder to get rebounds. That's just a fact. You're out of position sometimes in a zone guarding space, so it is just much harder. That is one of the problems being in zone. And so, but again, Doc's hands are kind of tied because guys don't want to guard or they cannot guard. I think the other thing, you mentioned Bobby Portis, but I'll mention too. Excuse me. The other guy that the Bucks are really missing, AJ Green is. I mean, you're seeing the impact of AJ Green. I talk about it all the time. The Bucks are a very top-heavy team. So when you're top-heavy, and one of your great contributors, and I like Ryan Rollins, but Ryan Rollins ain't like a 6-man-a-year candidate. But that's your like guys coming in. You're dependent on these guys when you have absences. I mean, yeah, you're missing points from AJ Green. You're missing his defense as well. You're missing some rebounding from like it. And what I say is I preface by saying it's really amplified when you get nothing from Khris Middleton. You're like, remember Khris Middleton when he first came back, he was at least again. I thought we need more from Khris, but at least he was coming to give you on efficient 13, 5, and 5. I mean, now we got nothing. 0 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. He didn't even like that was the whole talk about why you could do Khris Middleton, why you couldn't trade him. He's a playmaker. 0, 1 board, 1 assist. You were running around out there, dog. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, you good. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'll wait till we go to Chris. Go ahead, Chris King. I mean, go ahead, Cash Money King.
All right. So are we on Chris right now? Is that what we're doing?
You can go. Yeah, you take it wherever you. If you're ready, to go.
I'll also say this because I was listening to your points about Giannis picking his spots, and then it also doesn't help when you got guys out there not trying to rebound either. Right, you got Brook Lopez back tapping the ball out to half court to a Portland Trailblazers Denny Avdia who's going and getting a bucket. It's basically an assist to the other team, right? Like, so it makes it look even worse, when Giannis is out there maybe not rebounding the best. But yeah, man, I think when you talk about Khris and just the massive drop off that he can potentially have in these games, in these regular season games, is that something that Bucks fans want to bank on him being a playoff performer? Let me ask the audience. Let me ask the chat. Do you want to bank on Khris Middleton just being that Khris in the playoffs from last year, or are we going to just be honest with ourselves and maybe that he's not even close to that guy anymore? And maybe you do have to make a move at this point because, listen, I'm not sure this team can win if these are some of the performances we're going to have to be able to deal with in the playoffs.
You can't. And shout out to John Alberto with the super chat. He says, go get Levine. Go get him. Just want to shout out. I mean, again, fair point. Again, when you look at these trades and what you wanted, you have to look at these performances. It's not, you're the week up coming into deadline is February the 6th. Danny Levin's going to be on the show February the 3rd. We are less than a week away from Danny Levin making his appearance on the Cream City crossover on Monday night. And these are the performances John Horst is watching. You don't think Horst is watching? He is. These are the performances that Khris Middleton is putting up coming to the trade deadline.
And maybe they didn't play him as much. Obviously, he had the foul trouble. Maybe they're trying to save them from themselves in playing him even more. That way teams don't pick up on it right ahead of this deadline. I don't know.
I said, when quick draw McGraw says Khris is a dog out there. What dog? Well, I mean, which dog? My brother-in-law got a dog right now that's named Piper, old as hell, teeth missing. That's the dog he is right there. Teeth, the mouth, tongue sticking out his mouth. That dog is that's one of the dogs you take to the, hey, Doc. You have to put it down. You have to put his dog down because it ain't looking good.
So since we're on the Khris thing, over his last 8 games, he's averaging 11 points a game. I don't have the assists and stuff like that. He had 2-0 games. The first game, the Clippers game, was an atrocious game. We can all agree on that. I think that if AJ Green was healthy in his lineup tonight and Bobby Portis was here, Khris Middleton would have been a healthy scratch for load management on the bilateral ankle surgery. I think one of Chris's fouls was legit. It was a great what's my boy for the Blackhawks, Connor Bedard hip check that we get frustrated with Khris on. But 2 of those fouls are just bogus calls. They're just bogus. Scott Foster was bogus. Taurean Prince had some bogus stuff too. And when you get 2 of your forwards in foul trouble like that, they're not going to be there. I mean, can we live with Khris being 11 to 17 points a game, 15 points a game, couple rebounds, IQ with Giannis, and can we suffer on the defensive end? I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I'm going to give Khris the benefit of the doubt tonight and have a little bit more grace for the guy because he shouldn't have been playing if he wasn't supposed to be there. But I cannot say that those 3 fouls were legit 3 fouls. They just weren't.
Can I ask you? I want to answer your question. You said, can he live with that? One, we're already gonna it is determined. We're gonna live with him not playing defense, and I can almost say, okay, fine. I can't live with the defensive issues. 11 and 17, I can live with it. I could maybe see if you can live with 11 17. But if you're not going to play defense and you're not going to give me 20 plus, then that means you've got to be, you've got to be very good with playmaking. I mean, you got to have 6-7 assists. You've got to rebound the bat. You've got to do those things. And I don't know that and that's my issue with Khris now. I don't know that he can do any of those at a consistent rate. But I want to say this to you, Justin. You mentioned you didn't think some of those were fouls. And I think the third one was iffy. But your issue with Khris Middleton is he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt because he's never in a legal guarding position. And so if there's contact that's made and you are straight up, you're running side by side, you're not in any type of a stance. If there's contact and the ref deems that it may have not, and again, you got guys that are flopping and what, it's much easier to call a foul on that when that's what you're doing versus when you're in a stance and you're trying to make somebody come through you and you're chest up right on their hip pocket, whatever it is. That's all I'm saying. We realize I get it. You don't think it's a foul, but I'm just saying he's never in a legal guarding position, so he doesn't even have benefit of the doubt.
Hey, I got a question because all these people in the chat, they all over Khris. Y'all asses wasn't nowhere to be found last night, though. Where the hell y'all was at then? Boy, come on, drop 20. Y'all be quiet. Y'all be sitting on your damn couches waiting for Khris to have a bad game, and then you bring your ass in here. Oh, trade Khris, Kuminga, Levine. So what happened when they come in here and they suck? or they have a bad game. Then we're going to be like, oh, man, we should have never traded Khris.
I don't know what'll say that.
Your issue is their bad game and 0 points with 3 fouls in the first
Right.
half. Their
Right.
bad game may be a night where they're getting high volume and missing shots. And
Yep.
you can live with that when you're not conceding all these fouls and all these points on the opposite end. That's where your issue comes.
You know what I can't live with? I can't live with Jimmy Butler or Zach LaVine shooting the ball and taking it out of Dame and Giannis' hand and shooting us out the game, and then we lose the game that way.
I hear you, but I'm just like I hear you, but yeah, no. To Chris's point, and that's what we talked about. I'd rather, if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose with a guy who I think can run up and down the floor versus a guy who I don't think can do. I want to give myself a chance. That's all. I'd rather give myself a chance. Yeah, can Zach LaVine shoot you out of a game? Absolutely. But is he going to be but he has some qualities that I think that he can play, that you can work with outside. Like Jimmy Butler has qualities I can play with outside of shooting the basketball. That's your issue with Khris, is it's just cooked. He is a cooked product. Man, hey, who Khris was at the baseline on one of them. Who was it? A dude missed the shot. Who was it that had Khris running on the baseline? I thought he was about. I thought Doc told him to do gases. I thought Doc told him to do gases or something. That man started touching the line. You can't stay in front of nobody, man. You can't stay in front of nobody. It's bad on Khris. Let's read a couple comments here. Do we have another super chat that just came in? Okay, well, my bad. William Arrange super chat says Brooks struggles with fast moving centers in front of him and pulls Giannis off his man. He can't stay in front of someone quick. Let's stay there with William's point for a second. We appreciate the super chat. Thank you guys for the love. Get the likes up as well. So we've been on Khris for a minute. Let's change gears and go to Brook Lopez. I mentioned it in my opening as well. Brook was not good tonight at all. Like another guy staying in front of guys, an issue for him. I thought rim protection, I didn't think he was good. Now, again, I will say it is tougher to be a rim protector when guys are allowing straight line drives, so I'll give him some credit there. But even Brook, he hit a couple threes in the end. I think Brook is almost, and I'll say this to you, Justin, Brook is almost in Bobby-ish territory, but he does have moments of spurts where he is really good defensively and he is protecting the rim. But there are a lot of nights where Brook Lopez, if he's not scoring, he can end up being a negative, because you're right, he's a problem out there in the perimeter. I just do think, at least Brook goes 34 minutes. I can actually give Brook a little bit of a pass tonight, because you're not playing because Bobby's been out with personal issues, and Brook, I think he played like 40. One of the nights he played like 40 minutes. Then he played like 40 minutes in LA against the Clippers. Then he played like 40 minutes the other night. Then last night he goes, what did he do last night? Last night he plays 35 minutes. So I can give Brook a little benefit of the doubt here. 40 minutes in LA, 35 minutes to last night against Utah, and 35 minutes tonight. That is a lot on Brook Lopez. So he is a guy, again, agreed, he was a problem tonight, but I can kind of give some grace to a Brook Lopez for the minutes buildup is a lot. And I don't know, if Tyler Smith, I think he was out with a non-COVID illness. I think Doc's got to think about using, again, I know Liam Robbins isn't, and that's the thing. So many coaches do this. They put in, like, I don't call him a bum, but they do put in bums or scrubs, because you can't run your guys 40 minutes a night. You can't do, like, yes, you have to, and I think Doc Rivers is caught up with, I want to win these games, and I get it, but you've got to, you got to you got to get these guys a break, man. It is January. You got to get these guys a break. Now, if that means you got to play Liam Robbins for 8 minutes, you give him 8 minutes, and if he sucks in 8 minutes, he sucks. If you got to give Tyler Smith 8 to 10 minutes, you got to give these guys a chance to get a break here. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and I would say also, with Bobby out, like, the depth is a real issue in the front court, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is something that they may even address, when you talk about those Jeremy Grant and Rob Williams, like, they may need to get a package deal with another big in there if you're going to ship away Bobby, if you're going to ship away maybe a Brook. So, I mean, this has always kind of been a concern, and they didn't address it in the draft to kind of where these guys are going to be maybe a little tired when somebody in the front court is out. But then again, it's like it's kind of the same thing you're dealing with when you got your third option missing the first 21 games of the season, right? So it's kind of like you have to adapt to it. And, I just think, tonight, Brook just a little flat on the shot. And just, we get that from time to time from Brook. But if he's able to – I mean, you never know. Like, if you get to the playoffs and you're not playing these young, scrappy teams that are just going to run up and down the floor, maybe there's a spot for him in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what the athletic, great young center that he was playing against. Ayton is about as slow as he is. He
looked good.
He did.
He
looked good.
He played a career game. I think that he still doesn't look like a number one pick to me, but I thought Brook should have did a better job staying in front of him. However, like, this is the thing. If you're going to leave Brook in this game and you're going to leave some of these guys, Giannis in this game, and we're going to do all these back-to-back minutes, we're going to run into the same problem that we ran into at the end of last year where this guy gets hurt, and stuff like that. So, I don't know if you guys peeped it, but we had to rearrange our schedule for that New Orleans thing. So now that's a back-to-back game. So anytime this team has back-to-back games, it's a schedule. In my opinion, with these older legs that we have, it's almost like a scheduled loss. The thing that you're not going to have in the playoffs, though, you won't have back-to-back games. Yeah. So maybe your Khris Middletons, your Brook Lopez's and stuff will look a lot fresher in that, and they'll come back fine. I mean, dude, hey, listen, this is the other thing. I don't know if y'all get it. Kent Bazemore told y'all, being that third option isn't the easy thing to do. So there's a very good possibility.
No, we're not gonna do that. No, hold on. What he was you're about to go out of context. What Kent Bazemore was talking about was not getting the shots that you may be able to get in an offense like that. Khris, he wasn't saying you can't do nothing. That's not what he was saying. Yeah, you're not able to go out there and go get 30 because your role is limited. Khris can't get 30. That's what I'm talking now. Again, he had 22 as I get, unless you're playing the Jazz, he physically can't go get the 30. Kent Bazemore was saying it is tough to be the sixth man with like a Bradley Beal type where you can go get 30, and they're like, yeah, the offense isn't going to allow you to do that. I promise you, they would love to get more out of Khris Middleton. The issue he's saying is we got to limit you. We need less of you. The Bucks, we want more of Khris Middleton. I think everybody will agree that they would like more. He don't have it to give.
That's not the point I was going to. Okay, I wasn't saying that Khris could give you more. What I'm saying is that Levine, Butler, Bradley Beal play the same role when he comes here. Because his stuff isn't going to change. But Levine's going to go from being the number one guy, the dog, 15 to 25 shots a night to half of that. Because you can't take those shots out of Dame or Giannis' hands. And are you going to be as effective with half your shots that you normally get? Is Jimmy Butler going to be cool the entire time getting half the shots, knowing that if your team isn't doing as well as what he thinks it can go, or if things aren't going his way? I've never seen like Zach LaVine play the third role on any team. He's always been the first or second role. So can he do it?
It's funny. I'd almost push back a little bit on that. You're right. You're not gonna get the same amount of shots. I think what it is I think more so than not getting the looks, because Bobby oftentimes will get 13, 14 shots, and he's not even playing 40 minutes a night. He will find 13, 14 shots. Your issue for a Zach LaVine, whoever that guy is coming in, is your spots at when you get those shots would be different. So you wouldn't have a green light when you're standing for Giannis and Dame. The green light isn't necessarily always there, but there will be a lot of opportunity. Like, I feel like those moments that third, like, remember what they did last year with Khris, when they let Khris like have the, remember that because Doc has changed rotations. He used to try to sit Dame and Giannis to start the fourth. And it was like, okay, Khris, you take to me, if you had a Zach LaVine, you could legitimately give Dame and Giannis rest together and say, Zach, run the show. And that is your opportunity to take every look you want. This green light, floor is yours, and go out and cook. And I think there will be multiple times in the game where you could kind of have that. Now, the playoffs a little different. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. So I do think there would be opportunities for that, just because the Buck, now again, on a team that has much more depth, that would be harder. where guys are really vying for shots. I'm thinking if you trade Khris Middleton, probably Bobby would be a part of it. Now, if Bobby was there too, I think, yeah, there may be some competition. But if you were to lose Khris and Bobby, I think that third guy would have a lot of room. Because, again, you'd be missing another 12, 13 shots from Bobby. And then Khris, he only took 2 shots tonight. But in theory, he should be taking, getting more looks. I think you would get some of those looks back.
Well, I mean, you just look at it today. Gary Trent Jr. shoots 10 times. Like, it's the shot. You're going to be able to find shots when you have, Giannis and Dame out there anyway. You talk about the gravitational pull, Trey, with that Dame and Giannis create. So I think, yeah, and a lot of these looks that I saw from Gary Trent Jr. were open today. So I would appreciate having a third option in that role that can be confident on defense and then or can be competitive on defense and then also step into that third option role and get 10-plus shots a night that are just catch and shoot, right? I think Zach LaVine could do really well in that role.
Yeah, I'd agree with Zach LaVine being able to do well in the catch and shoot role. I think that, maybe even possibly Bradley Beal if we're just about just solely catch and shoot. I don't think that's a Jimmy Butler area of expertise or anything like that. I mean, the other thing that I would say is that if we do trade Bobby in that, we've seen what it's like to have no backup big. We got to get a backup big some way, or else we're going to get cooked because we got cooked tonight. And then, but not just, okay, so let me change my point up a little bit or clarify it a little bit more. Not only do Khris, so it's Giannis and Dame with the shot attempts, but then it's your AJ Greens, it's your Gary Trent Juniors, it's your whomever the case is, right? Your Taurean Prince. His looks are the same. Everyone's looks has to alter. And this is what worries me about making a trade about someone who's been cool with being their role on this team. And you bring someone in new who's used to being the guy wherever they're coming from, other than Bill. It's a big culture adjust. So this could be something that takes more than a year to digest. And are we willing as Bucks fans to go down that L that we may have because we brought somebody new into this? Or are we comfortable enough to keep a Khris, to keep him on that bench and keep his locker room presence or whatever that may be and allow Dame and Giannis to cook and do their show? And can we win it with Dame and Giannis? I think we can.
Well, here I'll jump in here because I saw some comments as well from past shows talking about the chemistry taking a hit. You guys don't think Zach LaVine is going to be okay with playing with the Milwaukee Bucks and Dame and Giannis? You don't think he's going to be okay with taking that backseat role after being in Chicago and being ass for a couple years? Like, he will be – I'm sure he'll be perfectly fine. And that goes with anybody these rumors are talking about. Like, even Jimmy Butler, I think, would be perfectly fine if he's able to get back to where he once led his team, right? Like, I think these guys want to win championships. They want to be etched in record books and in NBA lore and NBA history. And so I don't think the chemistry is really that big of an issue to what people make it out to be, especially if – Khris just doesn't have it. He just doesn't have it right now. And so if you can bring in a guy that does, I'm sure, it'll hurt Giannis for a little bit. But at the same time, the main goal is the main goal.
One word I got for you: professionalism. That's you talk about chemistry. Be a professional. Go out there. Drew's gone. Dame is now here. Be a professional. Khris is gone. Somebody else is here. Be a professional. Figure it out. That chemistry stuff. Y'all got to figure it out and make it work. You be joining, like you mentioned, Khris, you be joining the highest scoring duo in the NBA right now with an opportunity to win a championship. I 100% believe that Zach LaVine would love it. And then that's the other thing you mentioned. I think Zach LaVine I think he's been actually just had a baby, if I'm not mistaken. I think his wife or girlfriend, whatever, just had a child. You're right up the road. Ain't like you got to move across the country with your family. Chicago, Milwaukee is not that far. It ain't that far. Go ahead. You all good. You can make this thing work. I do want to get to a couple of the comments tonight. Let's see what we have here. ND says, I hate saying this, like it brings me no joy, but you just cannot be a championship team when your third option is this volatile. And off game is one thing, but you cannot be a zero. He's correct. And that's what we talked about. Off games are fine. You can't be this. You can't be that's not an off game. That is ass. That is ass. Todd Merrill, who I believe Todd Merrill won. Did you say? I don't know if he won the Okay,
I got you tomorrow. I ain't get a chance to get it today.
Todd, we will send. Todd has now jumped back in. We couldn't find whoever won the printed Bobby poster. That's gonna be vintage because he may not be here for a little bit long. But I'll tell you off that. I know Justin hates every time. It crushes him every time we mention it. But yeah, I think it's where was I going with that? But Todd, we're gonna get you your poster. He says Middleton's trash. Need to figure out a way to get rid of him. Bucks 920 says all the defense and 22 issues aside, can we get 150 Dame game? Just asking for one again, and that's on Dame too. Let's stop for a second on Dame. I see because the Dame bros are the ones who started the ball hawk stuff. Jan, he can't get a shot off because. Well, we just talked about Vin Baker, who had a discussion with Damian Lillard about, the team is yours. You're not a guest anymore. You're not renting. This is your place. And Dame responds, and he does all this playing well. Double teams seem to take him out. Blitzes seem to take him out of his game. I'm over this excuse of Giannis doesn't get you your shot. You get your shots, man. Like, again, Giannis took 24. Dame took 17. Ain't like, he didn't get any shots at all. He missed shots. I don't think he was. Again, I think it was bad. I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive. And so when you say can we get a Dame 50-point game? I don't know that he is aggressive enough to do that. I don't know that. And the other thing, he would have to shoot a high percentage from three. He's had a couple games where he shot very well from three, or a few. But yeah, 2 of 6 from three. No, you ain't getting 50 points if you shooting 30% from three. It's gonna be a very tough night only to get 50. Do you think now? I will say in the playoffs, I remember if I'm going back to what he did in Indiana, does he have the capabilities for that? Yes. Do I think he will take a step up and feel more of a responsibility in the playoffs? I think he will. And again, I'd rather ride or die with Damian Lillard taking those shots versus Taurean Prince versus Brook Lopez versus whoever the hell else wants to take them. Again, we talked about it. Remember in those fourth quarters where he made the pass to Bobby in the corner. Bobby left, made the pass to Giannis. Dude, you're the guy. You take the shot. So again, I just think he has to be more aggressive. I don't know that he will be, at least not in the regular season. But he had 2 triple doubles in a row. So I mean, we're getting there on the aggressive side of things.
Yeah, to me, I think as a Bucks fan and as Dame fans, like you want to see the ability to do that, right, and be able to kind of lean on that. But the other thing is like he really hasn't came out and asserted himself like that yet this season, right? Like in games, yes, he might have a hot start, and then ultimately you got one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best, also on that offense. So it's kind of tough. I think the game flow of playoffs is completely different, right? You're talking about less rotations, less guys that you're inserting into the game, and so then there's a little more room for that. So, yeah, I think certainly needs to take a step up in aggressiveness, and then guys got to be willing to concede. Guys got to be willing to – because, I mean, you see it all the time with some of these younger guards around the NBA who they get the hot hand, and then it's just like, all right, we're just going to give him the ball and let him work, let him cook. And I think there could be a little bit more of that with Dame as he kind of gets around some of the issues and the double team stuff like that. And then, somebody just in the chat says maybe if you get a third option that will make you pay for these double teams, then it'll open up a lot more.
Another excellent point. Who said that?
That was Io.
That is who? Io. That is an excellent point. No more yes. Yeah, because again, right now your third guy can't have Giannis, Dame, and Khris, and Khris kill. He doesn't. He's not a threat right now that kills double teams. At least we just haven't seen it. We have not seen him be able to do that recently.
So your third option a lot of the time in the game was Gary Trent Jr., who was 3 for 10 from the 3-point line with wide open threes on them Dame double teams. So
sure. He's on a minimum deal. I
mean, in the way that Gary Trent shoots the ball, I would think that 3 of 10 out of those wouldn't be 3 of 10 every night. If Dame scored 37 tonight, we win this game. I mean, we're gonna put all the focus on Khris. If Dame played better, he goes to Portland and he don't play well. He hadn't played well against the Portland Trailblazers the time he's been a Milwaukee Buck. And if you're a dog and you're him, you got to go out and prove it. I bet you this. If Giannis saw that guy cooking, the type of player Giannis is, he's going to feed him the ball.
I agree. I'll say, and I've said this about Giannis too. This is kind of almost where we're at. and it shouldn't be where both of those guys got to have A games to win in the regular season. That's asking a lot, because again, there's so many. How many? I don't know how much you watch Boston, since no strays is in here. How many games I see Jason Tatum play like ass for 3 quarters and then have a semi-decent fourth, and Boston is won because Peyton Pritchard stepped up, because Al Horford made great plays, because Jaylen Brown, because all these different, Derek White went off one night. Like they have that kind of chemistry, that kind of stuff that happens for them. You're in a tough position. I get what you're saying, but you're in a tough position where every night you got to have A games from Giannis and Dame to win games. That's a tough spot to be in. And I don't think, again, there should be nights where, again, it was Dame wasn't awful tonight. There should be nights where you put up 20, and that should be enough because other guys stepped up. And again, I know we had Bobby Portis, I know we had AJ Green out, but I can't give them that excuse against the Portland Trailblazers.
Well, some of the comments saying this was on Dame, and I don't think anybody's really trying to pin this loss on Dame. Like, there's a ton of reasons why we lost this game, and it doesn't start with him at all. I just think, watching that game in specific, like watching Kamara guard him, watching Tumani guard him, there were opportunities for him to come off screens where Brooks set a great screen, and he ultimately drives it to the basket. Like, I want to see a couple of those stop and pop threes right after, a good hard screen is set, and I just didn't see that much from Dame tonight, and I think that's part of the reason he only got up, 6 threes, you said? So, I think certainly the aggressiveness kind of ties into all of that.
Io says, in my opinion, I'd rather have Dame have 25 with 10 assists than 35 with 5 assists. He's our primary guard. I don't know. I necessarily agree with that. I think, again, Dame was brought here to score. He is brought here to score. And again, tonight he had 20 and 6 assists. But when you're brought here to score, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a legitimate score. I'm glad this is the highest scoring duo in the NBA. I want to see more of that. But when you're the highest scoring duo in the NBA, you need more. But again, tonight you still put up a decent number. You can't get 125 to Portland, and that just wasn't to me. The defense was the bigger issue tonight, and that's why I'm just saying if he scores this much more, yes, but you have to get stops, and that's why I go to, again, Dame's not the best offensive defensive player in the world. Khris Middleton didn't help with that at all, and I think Doc. I don't disagree with Doc on the point that there were a lot of bad defensive performances tonight. You could pin some of that on. I have no problem saying the effort was not good enough, even from 34. You guys know where the effort is always good enough?
Curly's
Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Effort's always great out there at Curly's. Enjoy yourself. Take a trip out to Curly's. Hey, you know what tonight was?
Nationally televised
game. So I know they had $3 bottles and pints out there at Curly's. I hope you enjoyed that out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and had some fun out there at Curly's. And if you go out there, what's tonight? Tonight's Tuesday, right?
Yep.
So what's tomorrow?
It was
Wednesday.
Well, today is right. So today is Wednesday. That means it's bingo out at Curly's. Tomorrow, Thursday night is gonna be trivia. If you do well on bingo and trivia, you know what you get?
Bucks tickets,
section 102, row 23, seats 1 and 2 out at Curly's. This is we're doing it. Does anybody know who? Let's do Super Bowl week. Not Super. Lead up to Super Bowl. Anybody know what cities hosted the most Super Bowls? Maybe this might be a question out of Curly's. Maybe.
Los Angeles.
Wrong.
New Orleans.
Wrong. I give you both one more guess.
Miami.
Absolutely. There you go. Miami has hosted the most Super Bowls. So yeah, man, that's it. Curly's Water Sports Bar and Grill, proud sponsor of the Cream City crossover. Let's keep moving along. Go ahead.
Let me say one more thing and push back. Look, man, I understand we talking about Dame got 20 points. This dude is top 75 at 75. Like, I expect you to walk out here and be a dog on this floor. Same thing with y'all. Like, look, both these dudes tonight, Giannis was a minus 11 and Dame was a minus 9. And I think a lot of that attributes back to that defensive effort. And I know that we talked about the rebound. The reason we're in that zone is because of Dame's defensive abilities. And if you're not going to score more than 20 as a dog, then, hey, man, what we doing here? And this is where these Drew Holiday dudes come back in the chat and all these other guys. And I see the Celtic boy going crazy. I do agree with No Strays on one thing. Giannis and Dame top 75. I don't agree with his air quotes allegedly. That's foolish. But that should be enough to beat the Blazers. And he's absolutely right. Dame got to play better.
I'm not going to say – go ahead, Chris.
Well, I mean, the Blazers played out of their minds tonight. Like, they played really well, and I'm not giving an excuse for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I thought this was a very winnable game, especially going up double digits early. But at the same time, like, it's more encouraging for me to watch Dame and Giannis have that kind of synergy that they kind of lacked last year, and still be able to be 9 out of their last 12 and win those and get on that kind of streak. As much as this is just like a kind of a bad night for us. Like, yes, there are some overreactions because you get a 0-point game from Khris, you get bad game from Brook and stuff like that. But it's also it is the association, and if you're not making shots and you're not playing any defense, this type of stuff happens.
It absolutely does happen. And it's just one of those nights, man. In the association, as you mentioned, West Coast Wildfire's crazy. The West Coast trip starts off 1-2. Bucks lose to the Clippers. They then beat the Sacramento. No, not the Sacramento Kings. Who they beat the Utah Jazz, and then they lose to the Blazers. They have who they have coming up on
San Antonio
Friday night. You're in San Antonio. That's not going to be an easy game, especially without. It's another game you have to rebound the ball. Wemby, I think the Bucks obviously took care of the Spurs last time they played in Milwaukee. Should be a much easier game. Talk about scoring for Damian Lillard. With Chris Paul on the other side, should be easier defensive game a little bit as well. For Dame. With that matchup. I think the Spurs to me don't play well together. I think they should use Wemby even more than they do. And so I think, watch out. And they've been some trade rumors as well, talking about potentially getting De'Aaron Fox, and they've been in the mix on that. And apparently that is De'Aaron Fox's preferred location to go to, San Antonio, which would be interesting. I don't think it would happen obviously before Friday, but
smart man.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, man. Who wouldn't? I mean, that'd be a hell of a pairing. You give Wemby a legitimate play. It ain't gonna be long. San Antonio will be the premier team in the league. There's just no doubt in my mind. At some point, you're gonna be trying to stop them. Them and OKC and Dallas. It's gonna be a crazy Western Conference. But anyway, that's for another time when it comes. But West Coast trip, best you can do right now is to get to 2-2 before you're back home against the Memphis Grizzlies, which is another tough matchup on Sunday. But give me it's ESPN, so get out the Curlies for $3 bottles of pints. But grade this West Coast trip for me. So far, 3 games into it, you're 1-2 with really, I thought you played decent in LA, slipped away in the 4th. You had that game, slips away. Utah, you blow out, and then you lose tonight. Give me grade so far, 3 games into West Coast trip.
Well, to me, I would say that, the LA trip is tough. It's always tough, and going out there, new arena and stuff like that, getting adjusted to that, and then a team that's also young and scrappy. So, I'll give them just an average grade. I think it's probably a C, just because you get so much from Khris in one game against the Utah Jazz where you're supposed to win it. You win that one, and then you want to be able to bounce off of that and then get those 2 in the back-to-back. And you just weren't able to do it tonight. You had opportunities, and ultimately I think the young athletic team just got to you. So, yeah, it's been pretty average to me, but you also have an opportunity to right the ship, even though, we talk about the West Coast road trip. These teams are really either – middle or east, but yeah, you have an opportunity. You're playing some good teams, OKC, the Spurs, Memphis. Like, you have an opportunity to really right this thing, and depends on if maybe there's a move that's on the horizon as well.
Well, this is West. That was.
Well, yeah, they're Western Conference.
Yeah,
teams.
that was L.A., Portland, and L.A., Utah, Portland. Really, the only team getting back would be San Antonio, not necessarily. But I
Memphis,
think it's
Tennessee.
well, no, Memphis. You're going back. No, that's the trip ends. This is a 4-game trip. Bucks are home against Memphis on
Yeah, but
Monday.
they're Western Conference teams. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you're not going. You're not going there. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'd probably give the trip a C minus, because we saw the amazing performance in Utah, which even elevates it from a D plus to a C minus to me. I thought that that fourth quarter in the Los Angeles game was just lacking. I feel like we're a better team than the Clippers, and we didn't execute. And I feel like Doc in the defensive scheme kind of failed us in that one. And what's the guy's name? Buckner. We could have had the opportunity to sub in Andre Jackson Jr., slow down James Harden. We saw some of that tonight where he brought Ajax back, but I think that was a lot to do with Taurean Prince and Middleton and Ryan Rollins, everybody else being in foul trouble. I think what's the dude's name, Chris King?
Avdia.
I think he drew like 9 fouls on the Bucks front court, back court in the first half and had us in shambles. So that's why I would go a C minus, man. I think this team coming off a 5-game heater is much better than this. Beating Portland shouldn't be a question. Beating the Clippers should have been a little bit of a tougher fight. But, I mean, you got to find a way to kind of slow down James Harden's momentum, man. But it'll all depend on, honestly, on the San Antonio game, man. And never in a million years did I look at this trip and think this would be a 2-2. And think about it. Once we get into March 1st, stuff gets real rocky for us.
Well, and I think, before you get there, I think that, this is that part. I will say, again, this is a back-to-back. This is that part of the season where it is tough to stay balanced. You have to have what we call it the last couple of nights on the show, professional wins, where, you're in you're in the middle of January, trade deadlines coming up, and really up until All-Star, this is the NBA's, these are the dog days of the NBA. Here up until All-Star break, where teams are you're just trying to get to the break. And then after the break, I mean, you really need to be playing some good basketball. Like you mentioned, March 1st, that time. And again, you're going to get some opportunities, get some good teams. But yeah, for the trip, I give it a right now. And I'm going to give them a C for the moment. Just because I think you're dealing with a road trip. You're also dealing with people being out. Bobby and AJ Green are out, and then you're also dealing with I think Trey. You're dealing with those guys out. I lost my train of thought where I was going to give them another. Oh, and then you're dealing with a back-to-back. So it's not like you had a West Coast trip and everything's spaced out. You had a back-to-back tonight, which is tough. And it would have been even worse because you should have had, like you mentioned, Justin, they should have had to go to New Orleans. They would have had to play 5 games, 7 nights or whatever it was. They got a reprieve there. But yeah, so I give them a C. And I mean, you can get if you can be San Antonio, that's a good San Antonio team. If you can get there, I can get you to a B minus because I do think there's been some adversity, this trip. And again, should you beat the Portland Trailblazers? Yes. And what I love, you were up on the Clippers, yes. So what I love to see 2-1 and hopefully 3-1 trip, obviously. But yeah, I'm it's the NBA. These things happen. That's just it. It is what it is.
Can I clarify one thing?
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming Dame. I'm not blaming Giannis for this loss. This is a collective team effort loss. Middleton falls into that blame as well. Gary Trent Jr. falls into that blame as well. Doc Rivers falls into that blame as well. Vin Baker falls into that blame as well. Who the hell's a trainer? Who's a nutritionist? Every time we lose a game, it's not one guy's fault. But to the what's the dude name? I forget. King of King. Hey man, when you got 2 top 75 or 75 players, you expect more from those guys. Sure. I don't expect the same thing from Damian Lillard that I do from Marjan Beauchamp. They're better players. It's just a fact. So Giannis it was like being an Aaron Rodgers fan, right? He said in his documentary, I hope y'all watch that joint. His mediocre game is somebody else's career game. Yeah. Tiger Woods said that a lot too. So we're not blaming Dame. Dame's a great player, and he's going to be the reason why we win a championship. So is Giannis. And so is everybody else on that roster from 3 to 15 after that. And if we trade Khris Middleton, then whoever we get back for him. Hey, one last thing, man. My bad. I know I derailed it and keep y'all up to 4 o'clock in the morning. I think last night what you said about Jeremy Grant and Rob Will, I like that trade a lot more after tonight.
Okay. Yeah, no. And again, if Khris, like we say, if Khris is still on the roster after the deadline, are we going to cheer for Khris? Absolutely. Because then there's no point in return. Again, we talk about this all the time too. Not one of those guys that Khris. Oh, he sucks. Again, will I say it if he sucks? Yes, I'm going to say it, but I'm not going to. But I think what happens is you have people that Khris will go for 30, and people will be like, "Man, I'm not about to be mad." Like, no. Or Bobby. If Bobby's still on his roster after the deadline, yeah, well, I think that we missed an opportunity, absolutely. But I'm 100% going to be like, I'm gonna be chanting Bobby as well if he can play well, and I'm gonna be extremely happy if he's giving you points, if he's getting those fake rebounds, if he's doing the thing. I want, again, prove me wrong. I don't want to make me look like a fool. I want to see the Bucks win. Again, we cheer for the name on the front of the jersey. And, again, we have our opinions on guys and things of that nature, but that's what we're looking for. And again, same thing, like you mentioned it, Justin, about how you feel about Dame. We did this all last year. We talked about Dame negatively, or, at least I did, because I thought he played a lot of negative basketball. And this year I haven't had that form. And even on a night like tonight, where you mentioned, yes, do I think he could have played better? Absolutely. Do I have a lot of smoke for Dame? No, again, I can also give a little bit more grace. You have a little more grace when you play well for me. And that's why I probably have sounded much more harsh on Khris Middleton, because he has now lost some of that grace. And yeah, my grace extends for, like we talk about Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? My grace doesn't extend back to 2021. Like that was then. My grace doesn't extend before to even last year, as people bring up, because he had 2 ankle surgeries in the past. So again, that's where I am on that. Khris, get the last word, and then I'll read some comments from Twitter, and then we can get to wrapping.
Yeah, this has always been what our podcast has been about, is the Bucks first, right? And if we do have Khris on our roster, I hope he's banking in threes to send it into overtime in the playoffs and doing all the stuff he did last year, right? But at the same time, I just think as a Bucks fan, and I think what we want is just to not have the repetitiveness of what has been going on and taking place with the Milwaukee Bucks these past couple of years, because you've got the best player in the NBA. You've got Dame. You went out and got him. You went out and got some great vet men's. Like, you have the opportunity to really capitalize on something, and then if you don't do it, like, then you're starting to think about, rebuilding and all that stuff that we want to be a way far in the distance, but it's true. It's the reality of it.
And then Tom Merrill says Bobby would have had 10 boards, probably 12 points. Giannis and Brook would have had 5 less minutes. Yes, I'd agree on Brook. Brook might have had less minutes. Giannis is pretty etched in the rotation with what he does. Like, it is 12 in the first, 6, somewhere between 6 or 7 in the second, 12 and plays the entire third, and then he comes in as needed. Like I said, if it's a tighter game, he might come in 7, 8 minutes left in the fourth. If the Bucks are in control, it's more like 7 or 6 minutes. So his minutes are pretty much kind of guaranteed as to what he's doing. And again, I'm interested in what Doc Rivers does. I do, again, and I mentioned this last night, I do think Doc Rivers needs to change that up just a little bit from a rotation standpoint, because I think Giannis has to start off the fourth quarters moving in the playoffs. I don't know. It just seems like you should find ways. You got to find a little bit different rest spots. Again, I know a lot of guys do it. I know that's kind of how Jason Kidd does with Luka, and there are a lot of guys that do it that way. You play entire quarters, and then they play the quarter, half quarter, full quarter, half quarter. I think the Bucks are so top heavy that they need Giannis really to. You'd rather, and that's what they did last year. Giannis took his break within a few minutes in the fourth, between like maybe minutes 8 or 9 through 5, 6 or 5 or 6, and then he played the rest of the way. And I think Bud used to do that too. I think they got to get back to a little bit of that. Let's go to the chat, up to the Twitter at Diehard. Yeah, I know. Twitter's going to be rocking as usual. A lot of comments. I won't get to them all. At Diehard says, any team willing to take Middleton deserves his contract written off their books by the NBA. What a waste of space he's become. At KA Forever 24. says, I'm 100% confident we ain't beating top 3 seeds as is. The defensive effort was the biggest issue, along with 22 being non-existent. We have one shot to get younger and more athletic. Horst, get it done. Drew Behringer says, it's time to change the slogan. You know, the slogan, Khris Middleton is good. He says it's time to change the slogan to Khris Middleton was good. Thanks for 2021. And one day, 22 will be in the Raptors. But if this team wants to win a title in 2025, they need a better, more consistent third option. At Armin53 says, fuck it. Dame, Middleton, Pat, and a first-round pick for De'Aaron Fox. My God. At Matty, he said, fuck it. Dame, Middleton, Pat, and the first-round pick for Fox.
Hey, can we go keep going with Twitter? But I want to tell y'all something I heard on Milwaukee Sports Talk Radio after you get done. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll do a few more. At J, these are funny tonight. At JR Horford says, old and slow, 22 MIA. Get his dead ass off my team tomorrow. I will take Jimmy if they can make it happen. At least he can still move. They got run out of gym by a young, talented, hyper athletic team. We have no chance in games like this with 22 with Khris out there. NYC Randy had the fun fact talking about Simons, how Dame has not outscored Anthony Simons once since playing him as a Buck. Let's see a couple more here. At Playbass, my man says, y'all need to trade Khris ASAP, get anyone, not him. At J Phil in Texas says, another young team making Brooklyn like Orlando, Patrick Ewing. And we'll do one more here. We'll do a couple more. At Tommy_Y says, Bobby Portis, Khris Middleton, your days are numbered and you will be missed. And last one, at Billy with a bunch of numbers says, when your third option thinks it's acceptable to drop 0 points in 2 of the last 3, you're not going to win many. Get his ass out of here if you want to be serious about a ring. So the Twitter basically says Khris Middleton sucks. That's pretty much the consistency from that side of things.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, last night they probably were putting their Khris Middleton jerseys on like I was. Hey, look, man, and one thing before I get to this joint that I heard on from my boy Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Hey, man, Bobby catches strays on a day where he has personal issues going on with his family. Is just crazy to me. Yeah. So
they caught the robbers.
Steve Sparky,
They must have caught the robbers. He probably, they got the people who got Joe Burrow's house. So,
oh gosh, that might be facts. So I was listening to Sparky today. Sparky kind of brought it up, and kind of to that same thing that the buddy was talking about in the trade package with Dame and Middleton, but Middleton was going somewhere else. So we were getting Fox and Levine to the Bucks for Dame and Middleton, and I don't know how it worked out, but do you have any interest in that? What are your thoughts on trading Dame for Fox?
I have zero interest. Again, I need to see Damian Lillard in the playoffs with Giannis. I have zero interest in trading Dame at this point. We didn't get Dame to not have Dame play with Giannis in the playoffs. That's my take on it. Until I see that, I have no interest in trade. Like Dame isn't untouchable. Again, I think somebody else in the chat said who's untouchable. Or yes, Dame and Giannis are untouchable. Everybody else is technically touchable. Like, I mean, obviously, would I trade AJ Green? No. But I mean, and again, no, I wouldn't. But I mean, I don't know what it would take for me to do. Again, it's not like he's untouchable. It's AJ Green. He's not untouchable, but that would be very hard for me to say, yeah, AJ Green is a guy that, that I'm just throwing in trades. Like, he's just not. So yeah, the answer to that, no. I'm not interested in De'Aaron Fox at all. I have zero interest.
Well, then I'll give you another side of it. Like, how much more talent would De'Aaron Fox need? Like, they've done everything in their power, it seems like, to get him talent around him. You talk about the DeMar DeRozan and then, Sabonis and stuff like that. Like, he's got good play. Now, that would be a step up, obviously, playing with Levine and Giannis. But at the same time, like, can he even do it, on his – they haven't won nothing. No. They haven't won nothing. So it's like – I wouldn't even be that confident in Fox as a player to be able to step up and take that kind of role.
Well, no, that's what I was going to say. I think, and so, I mean, I get where you're going with it. I guess I would say that, yes, De'Aaron Fox cannot be your best player and win a championship. So building around De'Aaron Fox is not a thing. I think it's close. I think it's even close to him if he's your second best player. If you were to tell me De'Aaron Fox was your third best player, Okay, now maybe you have. So like if you had like if you were telling me it was De'Aaron Fox and like let's say like I'm just making a hypothetical. This isn't a trade. I'm just saying like a hypothetical. If you were to tell me it was you had 2021 Khris Middleton, Giannis now, and De'Aaron Fox, oh, that's the team I can get behind. But even when you look at, and I'll say this, I don't know what Wemby's going to turn, but if De'Aaron Fox goes to San Antonio and it's De'Aaron Fox and Wemby, and you get a little more talent around the edges there, again, if Wemby turns out to be the best player in the league, which again he is trending that direction, in a few years, if Wemby is that. I think you can get. I think there are teams I think you can get it done on, but yeah, you can't build around De'Aaron Fox. That's kind of the key on.
Well, yeah, and that's the luxury of they actually have competent role players who are young and are going to stay there. So I mean, that's a whole different kind of situation than what we would be having.
And Todd is I don't believe Todd too. Todd says I have zero interest in trading Dame for Fox, but we'll really be interested in trading Dame for rotation depth and picks. No, again. Not only about not doing rotation depth and picks is no, and that's like me and Todd have had this conversation over and over again. The Milwaukee Bucks are trying to win a championship today. I understand, like I'll just never get, and I'll let this go because we've been talking for a minute. I'll never understand this thought process of the fan base that it's almost like you're always chasing 5 years down the line, and I understand that point. I do get it, but the Bucks are trying to win a title today. Like, do you think? I'll just ask you guys this question: do you think the Raptors wish that they were a little more competitive, or do you think they're happy that they won a title in 2020, whenever it was, or was it 2019? Whenever they got Kawhi, that was 2019. My guess is would they be like, you know what? We should have got instead of trading for a rental in Kawhi, we should have got a haul for De'Aaron Fox and got more picks to get a guy that we could have been like that. Do you understand? That's what picks are. You're trying to get we're gonna trade Damian Lillard to do what? Try to find another Damian Lillard? Like it's asinine to me that's the whole point of getting more pieces to try to find the piece that you're replacing. I'll never get that. So again, unless you're a bad team, the Bucks are trying to win a championship today, and I know it's like cap and apron, and I will worry about that shit tomorrow. I want a championship I want to compete for a title today. And I tell me this all the time. Justin Willis had a good tweet about the people that were complaining about Giannis. Frame that 39 and 12 and 5 on 70% shooting. Frame that up, because you will miss those days when you get to complain about 40 points on 70% shooting. If you're going to complain about that, I have no hope for you.
So, as far as, let me clarify one thing on the Fox thing from Sparky's standpoint. From what I heard on his radio show, the idea was just getting younger, with Fox being 27, with opportunity to grow, and Levine getting younger to grow with Giannis for the next run. I am not in that camp either myself. Hey, Todd, love you to death. Can't wait to get you this Bobby Portis picture, but we cannot. Picks are not it. I know a lot of guys that are from the city where I'm from that got this on their hat too, right? And they would give whatever organ you want to think of to give whatever team it is from that city a championship again. So, no, Toronto would not trade anything. And I mean, think about it. Drake was courtside. We ain't seen Drake there since that happened.
Right.
Like, come on.
Right.
When we went, we had dudes. We had insert celebrity, Jamie Foxx, Floyd Mayweather, whoever you want to make during a COVID thing. What'd you say?
Right, Gucci was there.
Gucci during a COVID. Yeah. These boys was masked up in the Pfizer. That feeling. Hey, what Kanye used to say, Trey? You know, big Kanye fan like me. I wish I could give you this feeling. Type stuff. Like, listen, it does not get any better than that. I'm gonna throw y'all one more curveball, and then I gotta go to bed because I'll make y'all stay up because I keep asking these questions. Would y'all do that trade, Khris Middleton for D Fox and whatever came with it, and you put Dame and Fox in that backcourt? So before y'all answer, I'm gonna answer. I think that we're already defensively questionable, and if you put them two in the backcourt, I think it's the worst defensive backcourt in the history of the NBA. But I'll let y'all boys answer. I'll be quiet for the rest of the time.
Here's the thing. You can think that like you could put all the picks and all whatever we have to offer around that, and Sacramento laughs that off anyway. So I just don't think that they would even consider taking a Khris Middleton right now when they already have DeMar DeRozan, who's on his way down. So like, yeah, I just don't think, regardless of what you have to offer for them, it's not going to be, they're going to laugh at that. So, and then as far as if that were to happen, get Fox and Dame in the same backcourt, it's just not, no.
Before we go to game balls, do you have to go to answer your question? No, I wouldn't do that either with De'Aaron Fox at all. I don't like De'Aaron Fox. I'm not interested in that. I do want to get off of Khris, but like I said, it's a probably moot point. Sacramento's not going to take it. NYC Demon, another super chat coming in. Appreciate it 100%. Super chat. Absolutely. He says, if Khris is our third man past the deadline, get ready for a second round exit. The way they are handling Khris, plus how old he looks, when does he get to the point where he can give us 35, 40 good minutes? He has to go, sadly. NYC, I'm with you. I've talked about this at length, the exact point that you make. 35, 40 minutes, because I know what you told me, Justin, and what we've seen in the chat, where there are no back-to-backs in the playoffs. Correct. You also can't play 20 minutes a night in the playoffs and be the number 3. You can't. You got to go. And I know somebody's like, well, I can take 25 minutes. I hear you. You really can't. You win the playoffs with horses. And I get it. Everybody's like, oh, rotation and depth and all. You want depth pieces. I totally understand depth and wanting it. You win. I want to put my best guys on the floor. That's what I'd rather have, because I know, and I know when the New York Knicks come to town in the playoffs, Tibbs is going to run Brunson, Hart, Cat, all 40. Josh Hart is not coming out. Josh Hart's playing 48 minutes. Jalen Brunson's playing 45 minutes. No, I can't. My third best guy can't be going 27, and we trying to preserve him for game 3 and game 4 when them boys are prepared to go 7 games, 45 minutes plus. No, we can't. I can't do it. I'm telling you, you're going to lose, and it's not even going to be because Giannis wasn't enough or Dame was. You're going to lose because you're going to lose the minutes that Brunson is out there, where Giannis is on the bench and Dame's on the bench and Khris is on. You're going to lose those minutes if guys are not running. That's your problem, and I promise you that more than anything in the playoffs, what I'm scared of against the series against the Knicks is not really the Knicks. I am deathly afraid that if you have Khris Middleton, that only Giannis and Dame are going to be going for it. Because I already know you can't play. Giannis can't play 48. Like, he's not a 48-minute. He's got to get a break in there somewhere. Dame can go. Yeah, but Dame go a little. Yeah, but he gets like very winded. Like, I mean, like you can just predict the turnovers that will be coming from travels. From he'll be throwing the ball. Like, he's going to give it. He's going to leave it on the floor. Yes, but you just know it's going to be nasty. Yeah. But Dame can give you 40, 45. I think Dame can do it a little bit better. But yeah, if Khris is going 30, I'm telling you, that will be the and people be looking, and that's exactly what people do. They'll look at turnovers and they'll look at this and they'll be talking about Giannis because he did it. And I'd be like, no, dog. The issue was their third best guy played 15 more minutes than our third best guy. That's a problem. But anyway, I digress.
I just say I would have listen. And I love Khris for what he was and what he is. When we started this season, when he's coming back off the 2 ankle surgeries, I wanted to give him a chance to get fully healthy. Do I think this team has a window open wide enough for him to take as much time as he needs to get fully healthy? No. When we talked about it the night when it was me and you, Trey, when the Clippers game, when he had 0, I said I need to see 25, 25, 5 and 5 or 25, 7 and 7 for the next 3 in a row to show us that, I'm back. He came out the next game and dropped 20, and I was geeked up. I'm not going to lie to you. But now, I don't know,
hitting that Roy, you was geeked up?
It's geeked up, boy.
Hitting that Roy?
Off my Steve the Stoner. I was about to do my dance in this joint.
Up, down, down.
Yeah, but look, I'm not everyone gets it misconstrued that I'm saying I don't I'm not okay with trading Trey. Not Trey. Lord have mercy. We can't trade that brother. Can't trade Chris King either. We can't trade JT. I am okay with trading Khris Middleton. I'm okay with trading Bobby Portis. Like I've told y'all numerous times before, I root for the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey, right? But it has to be the right trade. And if you've been a Bucks fan for a long time, you remember we had a guy, may he rest in peace, Anthony Mason, come in after them Bucks went to that best team, got screwed out of it when Scott Williams got ejected in 2000, 2001 in the Eastern Conference Finals when we should have beat AI and he stepped over Tyrone Lue, shouldn't even have been there. And Irv Johnson would have did wonders with Shaquille O'Neal. Fight me on the hill if you want to. I'll die on it.
Yeah, you lost the Lakers. We lost the Lakers, but that's okay.
No, we beat him. But I'm a Milwaukee homer. But listen, Anthony Mason came the next year and he disrupted the chemistry. We've seen it happen in baseball. We've seen it happen in football. That Tampa Bay Buccaneers team may have went back-to-back if Antonio Brown wasn't a crazy dude. It happens more in baseball than basketball and football, I think. But I think we got to make a trade, and I'm okay with it, but it got to be the right fit. So where I sit in my seat, my St. Augustine's Falcon seat, I'm going to say I want Jeremy Grant, Rob Williams first. I want Zach LaVine and the big next. And I'm going to let Chris King take the rest of them because he's a lot smarter than me with the college basketball boys than what I am. And he can pronounce that boy's name for the Trailblazers.
Well, yeah, to me, like, D-Man, I appreciate you with the super chat and coming in here and raising this point because you're right. I mean, I've been saying it, right? You don't want to be complacent at this deadline like you were last year where you get just a Pat Beverly and then he ends up not even being a long-term player. So you want to be able to hang your hat on something. And it's not Khris Middleton in the playoffs anymore. It's just it can't be. You can't be satisfied with what he gave you last year because of the procedures that went down in the offseason. And then I'll also say, like, I don't want Dame and Giannis to be those guys in the playoffs that are – like, these are two top 75 players we talked about all the time. I don't want them to be out-star powered. And I think that could possibly happen if you're going to rely on Khris Middleton being on this team. Like I think that you look at some of these teams, and if the Cavs have it going like they have, and we do see this Darius Garland, and we do see this Donovan Mitchell, and we do see that Evan Mobley, like there's a real potential that those three can overpower what we have going with Giannis and Dame if Khris is not there. Same thing goes with New York. You know, they go out and grab Cat. So then that's another star that they add along with Jalen Brunson and stuff. And who knows, if you're not getting much from Khris, those guys may be able to outplay you. So, yeah, I think you're totally right, Demon, in saying that you want to throw that punch instead of, you know, getting punched in the face.
Who you want, Chris King?
I mean, to me, the ideal guy is Jimmy Butler. And that's because of the history he has with some of these teams that we just haven't been able to get over the hump with, to be honest, guys. Like, it's the Boston Celtics. I think the Cavaliers. I trust this Milwaukee Bucks team to beat the New York Knicks. But if you throw in Jimmy Butler and you're playing the Boston Celtics, hey, there may be some bad blood still there and some ownage still there.
Yeah, and I look at, you know, Jeremy Grant and Rob Williams, and not as much Rob, but Jeremy Grant don't look like he got. And again, maybe because he's in Portland, not playing.
Because
yeah, but and maybe because he's in Portland, not playing for much, but he don't look like he got a lot of dog in him. That's all. I don't see a lot of dog, and I know at the very least, I know Jimmy might cause some disruption, but maybe this team may need a little bit of disruption. Maybe they need to feel a little on edge about what's happening. I do know Jimmy Butler has dog. Jimmy Butler's all dog. Now again, what the issue is, Jimmy may not be a domesticated dog. Jimmy one of the dogs that he off the leash, and you don't know what the hell he might do.
Pitbull walking on the sidewalk.
Yeah, right.
He got the rabies.
Like, yeah, PJ was a dog, but PJ was a dog that you knew wasn't going to attack you, right? Like PJ, you knew was going to attack. Jimmy might turn around and yeah, you might dog. He wasn't restored. The dog mauled you in your sleep. And so that's your problem with Jimmy, but you would be getting a dog, and I believe Zach in a different scenario. Zach LaVine he's not the same kind of dog, but offensively, he's a juggernaut. He can go off. I mean, again, that's a Jimmy. That's I say his name. We'll finish this up. Zach LaVine is a guy. You talk about going for four, like who can That's my thing about Khris. I don't know that. Remember, Khris put up 40 in the finals. Yeah, that I don't know if that Khris exists. Zach LaVine's a guy where, yeah, well, yeah, post 2 ankles. But my thing is, Zach LaVine's a guy. We talked about Damian Lillard having 20 tonight, off night, shooting off night, and you need those guys to have A+ games to win. Zach LaVine's a guy that can take a Dame B- game, and Zach give you an A+ game, and now you're okay because Zach gave you. Well, yeah, and you know, sometimes light skinned brothers win. You saw, you know.
Hey, your boy NYC Demon. He keep doing these $20 chats, man. I'm gonna just give you my seat. Come on in here, dog.
Oh, I missed another. Oh, so
he put another one in there.
Well, I'm obliged to read it. NYC Demon says, I would rather they throw a punch and make a trade versus do nothing and get punched in the face. Celtics, Cavs, Thunder, New York Nuggets have a legit 5. Oh, my dog is in here. It's snoring, just yelping in her sleep. Charlotte, wake up. Celtics, Cavs, Thunder, New York Nuggets have a legit 5 and go 35, 40 minutes a night. Khris needs to get hurt after 25 minutes play. Yes, no, you're 100. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yes, that's your problem. Yeah, you're right. Those guys, and again, those guys are younger. So you're already dealing with an older team that is going to have to play. That's going to be kind of playing past their minutes. And it's like they can do it for a run. That's what they can do. You're already dealing with that. Khris is to the point where I don't even know that he can get to that point. So yes, it is 100% a problem for Khris Middleton. And I don't know that there's anything you can do to change that. And again, the last thing I say again is I am okay trading Khris Middleton for a guy who's not because I think that was kind of the thing. And I mean, again, I'm not to call people out, but I won't call anybody out. But I'll say people on Bucks Twitter who may or may not have started movements for Khris Middleton.
Get him.
I'm not even calling. But I'm just saying those kind of people. I think that their whole thing was, well, you have to be getting back this. And again, we said before, you cannot be so arrogant that you're like, it's got to be this or nothing for Khris Middleton. No, I almost am at the point where I want and again, you can't be a scrub, but I want a body that I know can legit play and go out there and do some things versus that's where I'm getting. And it's sad. I hate that I'm getting there, but that's where I'm getting.
But the people that saying you got to get this or you got to get that back, the same thing that we're arguing about tonight that you in the chat, and I love all y'all to death. Don't worry. Even though I get upset, I still love y'all. They see these back-to-back or insert a great game here, 0-point games as well. So we can't think we're going to trade Jimmy Butler for Victor Wembanyama. Is that his name, Chris King? Did I say it wrong? Him too. Hey, one last thing, man, because the boy No Strays, and we appreciate your Boston love, and we know you're really a closet Bucks fan. We know it deep down in heart because you're not really a winner because you're from Boston. You drink Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and all your women up there are ugly. But he said that Jimmy Butler is only a rental for a half season, and he's going to the Suns no matter what. And I think the way that this Bucks team sits right now, a half season in the championship,
I'll take it.
There you go.
I'll take it. And then Todd Merrill says, how does Jimmy space the floor for Giannis? It's a good question. I think maybe something we can try to, I think we really got to get. I just briefly say, how does Jimmy space the floor for Giannis? Again, we play right now. Hell, we play right now with Andre Jackson Jr., who can't space the floor for nobody. So, I mean, so we're literally playing with guys who don't space the floor.
Hold on.
It wouldn't be a problem having another guy who can attack off the dribble.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a good addition for this team because there's just not much scoring at the rim outside of Giannis, really. Even you factor in Dame, he's not really scoring at the rim much.
And the other thing I mentioned about Jimmy is he's also a guy. So Dame gets to he doesn't get to the fouls. They call fouls for him. They just won't call on the shot. But Giannis can get to the free throw line. Jimmy Butler is also he is an all-time grifter as well, and can get to the line. So
don't get it twisted, man. And we're not gonna do this Andre Jackson negative thing after he had probably the best game in his Milwaukee Bucks career, though. But don't get it twisted. You're not walking away from Jimmy Butler on the 3-point line and just leaving him there because he'll kill you there. Like he's not the best. He ain't a pure shooter, but he'll knock down some stuff. And like you said, he'll get to that foul line. So we're good.
And he's very clutch as well. So yeah, no, you're definitely not doing that at the end of games. Last one. Maddie1502 was watching on Twitter. He says, "You're right. Team is too top heavy. Move Khris, add depth. We can do this. Have a chance. Let's do it. Game balls tonight, fellas. Wow, another one. I don't think there'll ever be a show where we ever go under an hour and a half again. I just don't. We just can't do it. It's impossible. Go back. Game ball. Why am I can't find what today's date was to find where we are. That's why. It's all because it moved to the 29th on me. Game balls. Who you got, Chris King?
There's not much for options. I'm going to give an honorable mention to the alley-oop that Andre Jackson caught midair and passes it midair into the corner. That was something I hadn't seen before. But yeah, I'll go Giannis. I mean, 39. And for him he started off terribly from the free throw line, and then he started to pick it up. I thought Giannis really imposed his will on a team that, and he always has kind of owned Ayton, and that still hasn't gone anywhere. So that was kind of fun to watch. But outside of that, there wasn't much positive tonight for me.
I got my 50-50 ball as usual. I'm going to go half to Andre Jackson Jr. I think I kind of spoiled it. Previous conversation, I thought he played one of his best games as a Buck. He shot the 3 ball. He cut. He did everything that you need this guy to do. And he's starting to kind of get into that UConn Ajax where he's pushing the ball up the floor and playing good ball. My other half, I got to give it to Chauncey Billups, man. I thought he coached a bunch of bums up to be good basketball players and beat the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. So, hey, shout out to Big Shot Chauncey, man.
Buck City says audio's messed up. I think quick draw and draws is close. I don't think the audio's messed up. I think we're good. It sounds good to me. Game balls me tonight. You know me. You got to win to get in. Say again.
I just say I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, yeah, you got to win to get in, and I would give it to Avia, but I just can't. I thought he grifted a little too much tonight, 30 and 9. I'm gonna give it to DeAndre Ayton. I thought, again, a guy who's had a lot of troubles, been talked about a ton, and DeAndre Ayton went out and dominated. 21 and 14 is a dominant performance. I thought he was really their X factor. I know Simon sent some shots, timing shots, and Avia obviously was, I thought he kind of went on a heater during some points. I thought some of those were good defense, and he just was hitting shots. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. But Ayton, I thought, was just dominant tonight. Really good. 21-14. Wow, I didn't realize he took 19 shots. It was 9-19. So again, not the most efficient night, but he was at plus 15 on the night, tied for a team high with Toumani Camara. So I'll give it to DeAndre Ayton, and I think that JT would have gave his to
give JT's away.
JT would have gave his to He'd have probably found a way to give it to to Andre Jackson. He probably found a way to give it. Who'd you give it to? Andre Jackson Jr.?
Ajax, yeah.
Ajax. Okay. Well, maybe he went Giannis 39-12 then. Good stuff. Good stuff, fellas. Let's look around the NBA really quick. We're not gonna get to a lot of other stuff because we just been on too long. 118-104. Sixers beat the Lakers tonight. That was on TNT the game before the Bucks. Rockets beat the Hawks tonight 100-96, and the Warriors beat the Jazz 114-103. I'm good with anything else. You guys, any look around? Anything else you guys want to talk about, or you ready to wrap?
You ready to hit it?
You ready to hit it?
Shout out to Shaka Smart. Great basketball win tonight. Again, man, Shaka coaching his butt off. And hey, before we hit it, I just want to say, man, appreciate all of y'all in the chat, man. All them super chats, man. Y'all go crazy every night. Y'all throw me off as much as possible, and I appreciate y'all for throwing me off.
Absolutely, man. 100% want to appreciate everybody who joined us tonight. Late night Bucks After Dark. It is It's past 2 a.m. on the East Coast. It's past 1 a.m. If you're in the Milwaukee area. So you guys stayed up with us. You guys make the show what it is, and we enjoy it. It is the best Milwaukee Bucks post-game show in all the land. And so we just appreciate you guys you could have been anywhere in the world. You could have been in your bed sleep. But you made it a thing where we come out and it's fun to do on a back-to-back night. When night before that you go Jazz, tonight you play the Blazers, and it's like, why not? Let's keep this thing rolling. We'll be back Friday night against San Antonio Spurs, Wembanyama, all of that. Can't believe that's not an ESPN game. The ESPN game is Nuggets Sixers. Another terrible decision because Embiid's not playing against Sixers that night. I don't think.
They just trying to save Curry some money.
What'd you say?
They trying to save Curly some money, man.
Oh,
Too
okay,
many $3 joints.
Yeah, so Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We'll be on after the final buzzer, Bucks Spurs. So join us then. Again, want to thank our sponsor, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Head out there whenever you can. Get some good wings, good food, good eats at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill. Sponsor the Cream City crossover. Yeah, man, Bucks losing tonight. Don't have enough. Can't get over the hump. 125-112 to the Portland Trail Blazers. This has been a Cream City Media Group production from the Guru Trick Officer Third.
Chris King.
Justin.
We are enemies only because we dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels.